Let us create the extrusion blocks. So we have to see that where are the blocks located, and analyzing this picture we can see that the blocks are located on the top surface of the base block. So we have the base block ready with us. We have to simply create two squares and extrude them on the surface. So for that, first we have to click on extrude option, and we can directly click on the surface of the block. So in this particular extrusion, we are not using any of the plane what we have used earlier. The planes in the earlier case were required for creating the base block. Now that the base block is created, we have to use the surfaces of the base block to create other features what we have in the geometry. So I will be clicking on the surface. As soon as I've clicked on the surface, you can see I'm getting a plus mark. I mean, this is nothing but the two center lines which are acting as a reference and which indicates that you can sketch the geometry in this particular surface. So the first thing what I have to do is I have to click on the sketch view. So I have clicked on the sketch view and my sketch is aligned with respect to the top view. Now I have to create the square over here, because the reason is this is 20 and the width is 20. So it is a perfect shaped square. We can directly click on center rectangle, and we have to follow the center axis because I believe there is no particular distances mentioned from the edges of the base block to the edge of the square block. So I believe this is placed on the center line of the total block. So I have to see that the rectangle or the square what I'm creating is on this particular axis, the vertical axis. So I have to create one square on one side. Let me create a square. Now I need to adjust the dimensions. If you are unable to see the dimensions, I recommend you to change the type of shading to no hidden. And here you can see the dimensions what are being assigned to the geometry or the sketch. So the side of the square is 20 units. I have changed it to 20. But I have to see that I have to ensure the location of the square or the extruded block. So in this particular sketch, if I am trying to zoom in, you can see that I have a distance of 35 units from this particular edge to the center of the total base. Let me zoom out. So this is the center of the base, and it is also recommended in the previous extrusion I have used symmetry. If I was not able to use symmetry, I'll just go back and show you what I'm trying to explain right now. So in case if I'm not using a symmetry option over here, my block is okay. This is a top view, right? I cannot try to show you what I'm trying to tell you, but I'll try to explain you again by creating another extruded block using the front view. So first let me create this square over here. So I have the base block exactly aligned with respect to the vertical and horizontal axis. It is exactly symmetric. Now I'm just clicking on rectangle and I'm creating a square, and I am trying to change the shading to no hidden, and let me change the dimensions. So now you can see the distance is 35 units from the center of the base. So I have to click on dimensions, click on this particular edge with the center axis and press OK. So right now the distance is 43, which I'm changing to 35. So this is a perfectly aligned sketch as per the requirement what we have. So I'm just clicking on OK, and I can just turn my geometry and let me change it to shading. So now I need to assign the extrusion height, which is again 20 units, and by default I was getting 20 units because Creo is assuming that the block what I'm trying to create is square block, because the length and the breadth of the sketch what I've created was equal. So it has assumed that I'm wanting an extrusion of 20 units. So this is an additional feature of Creo. So right now I have to see that my block is on the surface and it is above the surface. So right now I just have to press OK. So in similar way I need to create on the other side just by clicking on extrude, click on the surface and align your view. Now it is better to change the type of shading you are having so that you can see the another block also. And to create this block, it is very simple. Just we have to this is perpendicular, so let me change the dimensions to 20 units, and I have to see that the distance from the center of the base block to the edge of the square block is 35. So change the direction and press OK. Now you can change the shading and you can see that the block has been roughly created. The only thing what is left right now is to create the features which are present. So we have to see that we have to create 2 slots over here, and we have to see that we have to create another circular hole over here, and we have to create one more hole over here which is in the form of a circle and it is having its own radius. So let us try to first create this one. So in order to create this one, we are using the extrude option again, and we will be using the remove material option, which is a feature of extrude command, and we will be removing the material from the surface which is having a radius of 16 units. So first we have to click on extrude and click on the surface. So see that you are clicking on this surface and align your geometry. Now you need to create a arc of 16 units. So I hope you remember the arc option. We have to use the center and end arc because we have a center over here and it is having a radius of 16 units. So let us try to use center and ends arc. So this is the center right now. You can see the cursor is automatically stopping over here, and let me change the shading to no line. Okay, now that I have created the arc, I have to change the radius of it. So currently the radius is 9 units. I have to double click on it and change it to 16 units. And you have to see that your sketch should be a closed loop. So right now I'm getting 2 boxes highlighted over here, which indicates me that this particular edges are open. I am able to get this shaded blocks over here because this feature is turned on, highlight open ends. So see that you also keep this feature turned on. So I need to make this sketch a closed loop. So I have to click on line and simply connect the 2 edges in order to make them a closed loop. So my sketch is ready right now. I have to press OK, and let me change back to shading so that we are understanding what we are trying to do. So I have to see that I have to click on this option, and in 6.0 the remove material option automatically gets highlighted when I'm trying to push or when I'm trying to change the side of the extrusion. So in the previous versions this may not happen. So in the previous versions you have to click on the remove material. So see that you follow that particular thing. So now in this particular geometry we are not given the depth of the hole or the depth of the slot. So in that case we have to assume that the particular material is being removed along the length of the total base. So we have to see that we can use this option, that is extrude up to next surface. So right now let us see till where the removal is happening. So it is happening till here. If we want, we can just try to move with the cursor and leave it over here and press OK, but it is not recommended to do that thing. We can try to click on this option. This feature tells us that the extrusion is happening up to the next surface. So the next surface is in this particular location. So the extrusion is being stopped at this particular surface. So in this case the extrusion is a removal of the material. So now we have removed the material. Let us press Ctrl D and let us press OK. So this particular feature is being created right now. The next option left for us is to create a hole in the center and 2 slots on the smaller blocks. One more thing what you can try to see over here is, I was trying to tell you that the depth of the particular slot is not mentioned. So if you are analyzing the geometry more clearly, if you are seeing this particular hole, you can see an edge over here. So this edge is nothing but this edge what is following along the length. So this is another visual representation to make us understand that the particular slot or the hole what we are creating should be completely along the length. So if in case we are not able to see this particular edge, then we have to think about the particular geometry little bit detailed, because maybe the slot is being created till half of it or below before this particular hole. So in that particular cases, I feel maybe we will be given with the dimensions of the particular slot. So in this case the dimensions are not given, and with this particular visual representation we can understand that the slot is being extruded along the length of the base block. So now let us try to create the center hole over here. So we have to use the extrude command again, and we can click on the surface and we can click on sketch view. Now when I am clicking on the sketch view, whatever features are created on the surface will not be visible in this view. So this is a kind of confusion for us. So in order to avoid that confusion, there are 2 ways. First thing is we can try to change the display style to no hidden. Then we can understand that we have certain features present over here, and there is another option over here which is called as referencing. The reason why I didn't explain this in the earlier videos was that I wanted to explain this during the exercise. So this particular reference option is used for specifying or identifying the locations or the surfaces. I'll just try to show you. This is the most important feature in Creo Parametric, especially with respect to 3D modeling. So right now I'm clicking on reference. So when I'm just moving my cursor over the geometry, you can see that the geometry is getting highlighted. So this particular edge is nothing but the block what I've created. So the 4 blocks are getting highlighted. So I can just click on this particular thing and you can see I'm getting a vertical reference line. That means there is an edge over here. So I can create one more line over here. I can create one more line over here and another line. So this will basically help me understand that there is a feature over here. And likewise, if I'm wanting to create another reference line, I can create over here. Okay, so now that I've created the reference line, so I'll just try to show you what is the use of it, even though it is not required for us for this particular geometry, but I'll try to show you what is the use of it. So imagine I'm just trying to create a circle over here, or I'm trying to create a hole. Okay, and I want the distance of the hole or the center of the circle to be from this particular edge. Okay, so I can just try to use a reference line also. So I have to click on the center of the hole and this particular reference line. Sorry. Yeah. So you can see that reference lines are basically used for referring the new feature with respect to an old feature. So I was having a square over here, a block over here, and this is the edge of the block. So in particular view, the display style is shaded. In this particular display style, I may not be able to see the edge. So for that purpose, I have created a reference line over here, a horizontal reference line. And after that, I can click on the new feature and I can vary the dimensions of the new feature with respect to the reference line what I've created. So this is the purpose of referencing. It is the most important feature when we are trying to solve more exercises. You will be understanding the purpose of referencing. Okay, so let me just come back to the work what we were trying to do. So this particular circle is having a diameter of 20 units. So now that I've created let me delete this circle first. So I have created the reference lines and the width of the block is 20 units. I have to create a circle which is also having a diameter of 20 units. So I can again, as I have created the reference line, I can use them also. I'll just try to click the center circle and I'll just try to see that my line is, or the circle is touching the reference line. You can see it is touching over here. So this indicates that the circle is having a diameter of 20 units because I am referencing with respect to the block which I have already created. So in this particular case, I will not be required to enter any of the dimensions because the circle is following the reference of the previous block what we have already created. So this is another usage of reference in Creo. So right now I have created the circle. So let me just try to press OK. Let me change the display style to shading. I have to extrude it on the other side and the material is being removed till the next surface. So you can see that the circle is created. You can see from the bottom also by rotating it. Now the only thing which is left for us is the removal of material on these blocks, the mini blocks. So let me click on this particular feature. So in order to save the steps, just save the amount of time, we can try to create both of the extrusions in one sketch. So this is also possible for us. So it is not required for us to use multiple steps. If the features are same, then we can try to create in same sketch option. So right now I'm not able to see where my block is. So I'll be using the reference feature. And this is the block, outer edges. And this is the base block, outer edges. And close this option. So now I have to create a square over here. So for that I'll just go to center rectangle and I have to see that the square is placed along the center point of this particular extruded block. Okay, so let me just try to create a center rectangle first. Center line. And I know that this dimension is 20. So let me just keep this as 10. Because I want the center of the rectangle to be exactly at the center of this block. So I'm just trying to create a center. As I'm already having the vertical line, I'm just creating a horizontal center line, which will be my reference. And I'll try to create the block from this point. So I have to stop when I'm getting an equal sign because that will indicate that it is a perfect square. You can just try to change the shading view. Change the dimensions to 10. So I was mentioning you that we will just try to create both of the slots in one step. So that is also possible. So I have to create a center point over here. So identifying the center point can be possible with a center line and adjusting the dimension of the center line to be 10 units. Or else we can also try to do one more way. We can directly create a square, okay, of random dimensions, and then we can try to change the dimension of the center of this rectangle, that is equal to 10 units. So this will indicate that the slot or the whole, the circular, rectangle, square slot what I'm trying to create right now will be having its center at 10 units from the outer edge. So this will be basically the center of the total block. Now I can adjust my dimensions, that is 10 by 10. Now that both of the sketches are created, we can press OK and we can see both of the extrusions happening together. Now I have to create the remove material option. So I just have to turn the direction and the material is being removed. After which I have to press OK and let me press Ctrl D. So this is the figure what we are trying to create right now, and we have worked on it and we have created. So these are the steps what we have followed. If at all you want to change any of the step, you can directly drag it to that particular location and you can edit it and you can change the particular dimensions. Since it is a parametric nature of the software, the other features will automatically get updated. So let me go back to the main and the last option and press Ctrl D. So this is the figure what we have created. So in the video I was trying to tell you that I have created this particular base block with respect to the top plane, and I have seen that the alignment of the rectangle is symmetric, and that is a very good thing because where we have certain features which are in the center of the total block. So identification of the location for such features will be very easy if you are trying to follow symmetry. So that is the reason I was trying to recommend you using the symmetry option wherever required. So let me just try to show you the other way what I was trying to tell you. Extrude. Let me just delete it. If at all I was using the front view, so I'm trying to show you different possibilities, and I request you to practice. The height of the block is 26 units. Okay, now in this case, let me just try to keep the block on one of the side of the plane. So in this particular block, I'm not following a symmetry with respect to the front plane. Okay, so this is on one side of the total plane as seen in the extrusion. It is on the right hand side of the plane. Now in order to create this feature of hole, in the earlier case it was very easy for us because this point was the intersecting point of two planes, right? But right now this will not be the intersecting point. I will have to create, or I will have to specify the location. You can see one plane is in the bottom. That is the reason I'm getting this horizontal line over here. In the earlier case, I was getting this horizontal line at the center location. So identification of the center is difficult for us right now. We can place it randomly and we can just try to change the location. That is 80 by 2. So this was the difference what I was trying to tell you in the earlier case, that creation of the features sometimes is very easy if you are having the total block or the total geometry symmetric. So this is about the first exercise. I really recommend you to practice it, and once you are practicing, you will be really understanding the procedure and you will be understanding the tools what you are having. We are only using the extrude command right now and we are creating this particular block. So extrude command is one of the most powerful command along with the other commands what are present in Creo. So let us go to the next exercise.